Hi, Tim. Good evening.
Hey, hi,
Good evening.
Muru. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing good, Tim.
Cool.
So, Tim, I saw your message in WhatsApp. So, iGrace, do we need to register for iGrace?
Yes, yes. If you register, you'll get access to all the course material, interview questions, projects, and some live sample problems that we solved.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'll be on and off, but because I'm in EST time zone, it's
Huh.
uh, whenever I find time, I will join this class.
Yeah, yeah.
Rest of them,
You,
I'll go through the class.
yeah, yeah. You can go through videos and you can even refer to the website for the readouts.
Perfect. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. We'll give another couple of minutes for others to join and then get started.
This meeting is being recorded.
I think we can get started.
It's
Jairaj, can you
getting
please
echo.
go on mute? I could hear echo. Thanks. Yeah, let's get started. Let me share my screen. Let's get started with a quick recap of what we discussed in our last class. So we discussed what is an FDE. One second. So FDE sits at the intersection of 4 pillars as we discussed, right? One is AI pillar, of course. The other one is DE. The other one is software engineering. The other one is cloud and platform, right? So no, FDE is expected to leverage AI and solve data engineering, software engineering, cloud and platform architecture problems, right? That's in a nutshell about the technical requirements. But when it comes to soft skills, as we discussed, right? Combination of critical thinking, communication, and problem solving. These are the key ingredients of FDE role, right? Any FDE role. When it comes to problem solving, we discussed idea framework. Idea framework, right? I stands for identify and define the problem, right? D stands for divide. Break down the complex problem into multiple subtasks. E stands for evaluate multiple options and pick the best and execute. A stands for assess the output. Okay, this is in a nutshell we discussed. After that, we also discussed about what is covered as part of our curriculum, right? So as an extension to problem solving, right, we'll talk about problem solving for a quick 5-10 minutes. So did somebody said something? Yeah. So idea framework help us break down complex problem and pick the best solution. Clear? What next after this? Right? We have got some complex problem, let's say, right? We have some strategy using idea framework, right? We were able to break down into small subtasks. We have evaluated multiple options, right? Pick the best and assess. This is one strategy. If we have to flip the card and look at other way of solving problem, right? Or as an extension to idea framework, right? Let's say website is slow. For last X days is the problem, right? We have to dissect back into multiple categories, right? Similar to idea framework, but this is called as fishbone framework. What is called as fishbone framework? Okay, so let's take the same example. right? The website is slow for last XYZ number of days is the problem. Okay. It could be, let's say, like, config. Config is contributing to 50% of the performance issues. The other one, let's say code, is contributing to, let's say, 20%, right? The other one could be traffic, user traffic. This is contributing to 10%. The other could be user education, meaning some end users are firing suboptimal queries, right, which are not optimized, and it is causing some cluster contention, right? So this is 50% it is contributing to, this is 20%, this is 10%, this is again, let's say 5%, right? And remaining, like, X percentage, some tiny minor issues. Okay. So this is another way of transforming or maybe translating complex business problem into some structured format. Before we jump into implementation, we need to have this kind of strategies, right? How it helps. Now we get a clear picture of, like, see, what is my first target? What's the line in the room that I should target to, right? It's obviously config. Config could be like let's say auto scaling, right? Or some cluster parameters or some cluster policies, right? It could be anything, right? Maybe like, some sort of configuration. If you take Redshift as an example, right? Some WLM configurations, right? Are outdated, right? It was configured long back, like, to accommodate some load. Now that, like, the ecosystem has changed, these configs are actually creating a problem. This has become a bottleneck now, right? Now, given we have um, transformed the problem into a visual graph, and we have bucketized the top four. Obviously, there could be n number of reasons. Let's not, like, go behind each and every silly problem. Rather, we have to, like, do some research, bucketize, identify the top four. Now we get, like, more clarity on, like, what should be my first pick. I repeat. So idea is a framework to solve some problem, right? Idea stands for, like, I stands for identify and define the problem. D stands for divide and break down the complex task into multiple subtasks. E stands for evaluate multiple options, right? Don't just blindly, like, hey, I know this solution, don't implement, right? Let's list down at least 3 possible ways to solve this config problem, right? Or let's identify 3 like, options to fix the code, right? And pick the best in the sense lowest complexity, highest productivity, right? A stands for assess the outcome of this previous step, right? Now this is, in a way, it is giving some view of how to tackle a problem. We can further use another fishbone method, right, to have a more graphical representation of the problem, identify what's the elephant in the room, and then devise a strategy. So what is the other strategy? What is the other strategy? Now we know the top packetization, let's say config, right? Then create a wave plan, right? Let's say this is complexity. This is business impact. Okay. Lower the complexity, right? Higher the business impact, right? This will be our first priority. I hope you are able to understand, right? We used idea framework, right? Again, we used fishbone method to devise into some logical conclusion of the top buckets, right? whatever we have device, config issue or a code issue or user education or user traffic, for each of those categories, create a wave plan. Right? And now we have even more clear picture. Out of all the configurations, what is the easiest and safest to change? This should be our P0, right? Maybe this could be P1. Maybe this could be P1. This could be P2. This could be P3, or even we can drop or ignore. Okay, so to summarize, problem solving is all about devising some strategies. Don't just blindly jump into conclusion. Understand the problem clearly define what is the problem, right? And then identify the root cause, right? Using idea framework, using wave planning, and we have a couple of other frameworks also, which we will talk subsequently. And then as a step 3, put it in a wave bucket, right? So let's see in our course material, let's say frameworks and mental models, right? Here, wave planning. What we discussed, basically here it is little more process oriented, little more structured. We can even calculate score for each of the tasks which we have identified, right? It will bucketize. Wave 1 should be treated as P0. If you can fix this, let's say 30% of the performance issues is solved with small configuration change. That itself is a bigger impact. Clear so far? Accordingly, we can devise a plan for all other wave buckets. Okay.
Can you please zoom in, please, sir? Cannot read clearly.
Oh, okay, sure. Hold on. Okay, where is Zoom? Is it any better now?
Some more. It's better than before, but
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. What happened? 1 second. Yeah. So we'll not go too deep into all these frameworks, categorization, bucketizations, template today itself. Rather, we will park it here for now. But there is a template available for you to download as well. We have got all the bucketizations. This is one strategy that we are going to adopt in our all our labs, right? So we'll pause here for now. We'll revisit. Meanwhile, we'll go back and start the AI related things, right? So as we just discussed, right? FD is here, AI pillar is here, data engineering pillar is here, software engineering pillar is here, and this is the platform and architecture, cloud platform and architecture, basically, right? So this is actually cushioned by some sort of frameworks, mental models, some strategies, etc. On a high level, we touch based only problem solving. We'll go too deep into different types of problem solving mental models and how to adapt in real world scenarios. We'll also go too deep into critical thinking. What do we mean by critical thinking, right? How is it relevant in real-time business scenarios, and what we should be adapting for what kind of scenarios. The other one is communication, of course. Here also we have some frameworks and templates defined. But anyways, this will keep it as light as possible, right? These two, yeah, will tie back to each and every problem that we are going to solve, right? What is the mental model? What is the framework? What's the template, right? And what strategy we are adapting here to solve what kind of problem. Okay. Now, let's get started with AI engineering, right? What is AI engineering? AI engineering is all about leveraging some LLM models. What is an LLM? It is a generative AI model, basically, right? Generative AI, what it generates, it's simple, a set of artificial intelligence models that generate new content in the form of audio, video, text, images, and code also. It can be code as well, right? So generative AI is a class of some sort of artificial intelligence models, right? Depending on the volume of the training data, it can be either called as large language models or small language models or open-ended models or closed-ended models. We'll go a little deep into what is open-ended, closed-ended in subsequent classes. But for now, let's assume this is some black box for us, right? It has got some software program inside, which is very intelligent enough, and it can generate some output in the form of audio, video, text, images, and code. So to generate output, right, it takes two primary inputs. One is prompt. The other one is context. I repeat, LLM takes input in the form of two different inputs, right? One is called as prompt, the other one is context, and it generates output based on what is the input, right? It's a combination of prompt and context, or in some cases, it's prompt alone. Context is optional. If we don't provide the context, additional context, whatever the context it already has, based on that, it generates some output. Okay, how it is able to do it, right? Behind the scenes, what is happening is that it follows a 4-step process. One is learn, understand, predict. Fourth one is generate. Okay, again, these ones will go a bit deep in when we discuss about vector databases. For now, let's assume this is some black box to us. We are giving some input. We are giving some context. Context in the sense, some background about what we are to generate some output. Clear so far?
Yes.
Let's understand what is a context. What is this tick mark? Anyways, let's ask a simple question, right? Give me a 7-day protein rich. Give me a 7-day. So my prompt here is this one. I'm asking the model to give me a diet plan for 7 days. I'm just using the prompt here. This is simple prompt. And it has given very nice, day by day breakout plan. Now let's add some context to it. Let's add some context to it. How to add context? Basically, there is no separate option calling context, but I can call out some information about myself. Okay, let's say I am a pure okay. The LLM is not having any context about myself, and hence it is giving a combination of veg, non-veg options for me, right? It didn't know that I'm a vegetarian, right? Now let's create a new chart to be on safer side, right? Ask the same question. Now give me a 7-day protein rich diet, right? Let's see what it does. You see the highlighted one here? I'm not specifying anything here, whether I'm a vegetarian or non-vegetarian, etc. It understood based on the configurations which I have configured in my account, basically, right? So based on that, it is giving me a pure vegetarian diet. So to define, a prompt is a command or set of commands or instruction or set of instructions given to the model to perform a specific task. I repeat, prompt is a command, set of commands or instruction or set of instructions to perform a specific task, right? Then what is context? Context is any additional information you provide to the model to answer the question, basically to help answer the question more accurately, more precisely. As simple as that. Context is some additional information we provide to the model. Then you may be having a question. Hey, why do I have to mention it as a context? I can even write here itself, right? Hey, I am a vegetarian and give me protein rich diet, etc., etc. Right? But the catch here is that you need not repeat the same context, right? Every day. Number one. Number two, in a real world scenario, multiple users will be working, right? Multiple end users will be there who will be interacting, right? If your company has some sort of internal knowledge, right? You cannot ask each and every employee within your organization to add the context each time they write. Hey, somebody is writing something. Hashish Kumar. You have any question, Ashish, or by mistake you scratched something? No worries. So we understood on a high level what is prompt, what is context, right? Now let's go back.
No, by mistake I did, sorry.
No worries, Ashish. Okay. Clear so far? Any questions? Okay. So prompt and context. We'll go too deep into context. This itself is a very important topic in our curriculum and even in real world scenarios, right? Now, prompt, right? Prompt, as we just discussed, it is a command, in simple terms. Then what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is the art and science of designing effective prompts to optimize the output. It is basically how effectively you write prompts. That is called as prompt engineering, right? Now, broadly, there are two types of prompts: user prompt and system prompt. Clear? Just some time back, we have asked this question or prompt that is called as user prompt. Then what is system prompt? System prompt is a set of additional configurations we provide at system level that has got direct influence on your prompt. Okay. So your output is dependent on three factors. One is user prompt. The other one is system prompt, which is configured. We will again talk about what is system prompt in subsequent classes, right? And context. Context is optional. right? We have seen two use cases, one with context, the other one is without context, right? So when the output is generated, it considers prompt plus context. This is together given to the model to generate some output. I hope all of you are clear so far. Any questions? I take it as a no, right? Now let's take a deeper look into this. What is user prompt? What are the different types of user prompts? Okay, let me again summarize, right? Prompt is a command or set of commands given to the model to perform a specific task, right? Prompt engineering is the art and science of designing effective prompts, right? There are two types of prompts broadly, right? User prompt and system prompt, right? Context is additional information you share with LLM so that the LLM considers your specific scenarios and generate output accordingly. Okay. Now, there are different types of user prompts, right? Although broadly people call it as two types, zero-shot prompting and few-shot prompting. But if you have to be too precise, too specific, we can at least call out the top 6 or 5, right? Let's see. One is zero-shot prompting, okay? The other one is few-shot prompting, right? The other one is prompt chaining. Prompt chaining. The other one is chain of thought. What happened? The other one is role-based prompting, right? The last one is, of course, RAG-based prompting, right? These are the few important types of user prompts. Okay. Now let's try to understand what is zero-shot prompting. Zero-shot prompting is a prompting technique wherein you simply ask a question. You simply ask a question. In our previous example, we asked to give a protein-rich diet, right? That's a simple question, right? Few-shot prompting, in addition to question, you'll also pass some examples. Question plus examples. Prompt chaining is a very... Somebody said something? Prompt chaining is breaking complex task into small subtasks and then chain it together. You remember sometime back we were talking about decomposing a problem into multiple subtasks and each subtask have some mental model in place, define the weightage, then define the priority, right? The reason why we talk talk about that frameworks and all these things is here. You remember? The prompt chaining is a technique which is used to solve complex problems, right? One of the framework strategies what we have discussed is exactly here, right? It is relevant here. Again, we'll build some examples when we discuss about agents. Okay. Now, what is chain of thought? Chain of thought is more on the output, basically. You are asking the model to give step-by-step explanation for the output you created. What is the reason why you think this output is precise or relevant? Role-based prompting we often see in banking chatbots. It is trained really heavy on a banking domain. We assign a specific role to the model, right? And that model is trained purely on specific domain, right? So that all the chart questions that are asked, right, it is very specialized to that specific domain. Okay. A RAG-based prompting is an advanced version of role-based, but here instead of sticking to one role, we will have more broader picture. Again, RAG is very important concept in generative AI. We will focus RAG in a couple of our classes, right? This is more about like, sharing more context. Let's say like, your company policy documents, right? Right? Or maybe some additional information with regards to guardrails, rules and regulations, right? And it could be some sort of other internal documents or knowledge repository, right? So broadly, these are the different types of user prompts. I'd like to take a pause here to hear any questions from you. I take it as a no, right?
Excuse me, where do we see this information in the website?
That's exactly where I'm going to now, right? See, we have started here, right? In the prompt engineering chapter, introduction, right? And here, zero shot, few shot prompting, okay? And all these topics what we discussed, right? So we have discussed like, the prompts and different types of prompts, user and system, and within user prompts, there are different categories again, right? Now, before going a little deep into zero shot and few shot prompting, right? Let's take a step back and understand what a good prompt look like. What a good prompt look like. Anybody would like to volunteer here? I believe this is a basic fundamental thing. I just want to understand, like, if anyone wants to understand, anyone want to contribute, share their views.
Probably
it's okay.
probably a role-based or a persona-based, so that LLM can understand like what exactly your role is, right? Rather than, for example, let's say, probably will say I want to understand what LLM is, right? But it's a different level of experience. Probably, let's say you are a beginner, then you will say a role card of I am a beginner, and then teach me LLM in this fashion, right? And probably your experienced guy, 5+ years of experience. Let's say that you probably say a role. I'm already a software engineer and have a 5 years of experience, and probably explain me this. Then the LLM behaves in a different way, right? So I think that's where the role based would be more helpful, and also few short prompts would really help, right, to get the required info, I believe.
Yeah, good one, Shashi. I agree with you. But that is little advanced, right? Even before that, even if we just have to like, talk about the very basic structure of a prompt, right? A good prompt follows some outline basically, right? As Shashi mentioned, define the role, right? And then task or objective, basically what we want to accomplish. Then context. Then constraint. The other one is then output format. A clear-cut prompt should have this structure, right? Role. Maybe instead of blindly asking, hey, like, give me like, protein-rich diet, right? Just assign LLM some role. Hey, you are a nutrition specialist, or like, you are diet specialist. That's your role, right? The task is like, give me a protein-rich diet plan for 1 week. The context is I'm a vegetarian, Context is, I'm a vegetarian, right? What is constraint then? And why is it useful or why is it important?
Probably a where clause to say this is what I like, this is what I don't like. Some stuff.
Exactly, right? Maybe in context you are just mentioning I'm a vegetarian, but in the constraints, right? Although I'm vegetarian, I don't like milk, right? Or right? Or like you can mention give me the output in 10 lines, 20 lines, 30 lines. That is called as constraint. Output format, right? It's simply generated day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, like that, right? You can give ask, hey, give me in a tabular format like this, day 1, day 2, day 3, like this. You can specifically instruct the model to generate output in a specific format. That is called as output format. Now, precisely any important task, right? You need not see just for the sake of following the best standards. We need not follow the structure for every simple thing. Let's say if you want to ask a model, what is the capital city of India, right? You need not follow you are this, you are constant, this and all. Any reason why we should not over engineer any specific reason, any wild guess from any of you?
Tokens consumption.
Fantastic. Exactly. The cost, right? The cost. How cost is calculated? Cost is calculated, let's say,
Based on resources?
let me come to that. No, not just on resources. Okay. We provide context as we discussed. We provide prompt. Again, all kinds of prompts, user prompt, system prompt, etc., whatever it is, right? Let's say this is 10 GB. This is maybe 20 GB. This is, let us say, some 5 MB. Okay. The cost is calculated 10 GB plus 20 GB plus 5 MB. If you add too much details, right, to get the output, unnecessary input, right, the cost is going to spike up. Somebody said resources. That's also true. But where is resource coming into the picture here? How do you know? Resource meaning, what is the model we are using? GPT-5, Sonnet, Opus. These are different LLM models, right? The resources is all about the GPUs, basically the hardware, basically, right? If it is GPT-5, it consumes this much RAM, this much training label data. If it is Sonnet, this much. If it is Opus, even more bigger and more smarter model, right? If you use the highest model for a smallest task, the smallest task can be any simple question, any basic model can also answer, right? So the cost here is calculated based on the input, based on the context, based on the output, plus the model you choose. In ChatGPT UI, we don't have any specific control in the UI as such to define or maybe control whatever, right? But using APIs, we can. Okay. Good. Now, let's take some examples, right? This is a zero-shot prompting. What we are asking a model, classify the sentiment of the following sentence as positive, negative, or neutral, right? Here, this is the input we are, this is the review, basically, right? The output is this. Here, we are not specifically calling out any specific example, right? This is example number 2, right? Translation, right? Example 3, simple write a code. These are all examples of zero shot prompting, right? Now, you got a fair understanding about what is zero shot prompting, what is few shot prompting. Now, tell me, in what kind of scenarios zero shot prompting is relevant? In what kind of scenarios few shot prompting is relevant, and why? Anyone would like to volunteer again?
If you are trying to check any facts as such or get some information which is publicly known, but you want to looking for an answer, then zero shot prompting would be okay. You don't need to give any context.
Yes, partially right. Yeah, that's not the sole reason. But the thing is, the important point, as we just discussed, low token cost. See, example also consumes tokens, correct? It is simple to write, like, fast inference, good for standard tasks. But the thing is, it all boils down to the cost and output quality, right? But the downside of zero shot prompting is that if you are just calling it out, let's say in our previous example, right? What we mentioned, performance of my website has degraded. Is this good enough? Yes or no? Performance of my website has been degraded lately.
Not enough.
Right? Sorry?
Not enough information.
Exactly. This is ambiguous. What it is this? Ambiguous. Ambiguous in the sense, it's not complete. Basically, it's incomplete. Why it is incomplete? Performance has degraded, right? Since when? Not known, right? Is affecting all geographies. Let's say if your website is operating globally, right? Is the performance degraded for all geographies, or is it specific to one region, right? Is it slow 24/7, right? Maybe it is degraded during peak hours, right? So without this complete information, your prompt itself is ambiguous, right? So when defining very critical problem statements, we need to be very, very precise enough, right? We should not just think only in terms of cost. Clear so far? Okay. Here are some examples of few shot prompting. Again, using the same example, but we are providing some examples, right? Here, maybe let's say the example. This movie is fantastic. The review is positive. If you just mention in the example output, the review is positive as a sentence-based output, it changes accordingly, right? And so on and so forth, right? Here again, right, high accuracy, better format control, more consistent output, reduces hallucinations, stronger reasoning for edge, right? I'd like to stress more a bit on hallucinations. What is hallucination? Any idea?
Where model doesn't understand the context properly and try to give some indirect
Exactly.
answers.
Guess. Guess is the right answer. Model guesses something because our input is not clear, right? It takes some assumptions and generates some incorrect output, right? Why it does? It's all goes on probability, right? Again, we'll take a deeper look into it, the transformer architecture, how tokens are generated, and all those things. What is embedding model, etc. Then we'll also slightly touch base on what is hallucination then. But for now, just assume hallucination is all about taking some guesswork. Okay. Clear so far? Now we'll move on. We discussed zero shot prompting. few shot prompting, and what a good prompt look like, right? Prompt chaining, as we discussed, right? Prompt chaining is all about breaking down the complex task and then connect all those subtasks using some workflows or some framework like LangChain, right? That is called as prompt chaining. Chain of thought is a single prompt. We are not actually breaking down the problem into multiple things, but it is all single prompt, but the output is structured. Output is modular enough. Okay, that is what it is called as prompt chaining versus chain of thought. Clear, or any questions so far? We'll move on.
One question. Prompt chaining, is that more like what we give in markdown files or .md files?
Slightly related. It's not always markdown files or skill file, what we call, right? Skill, one markdown file can be used by multiple agents. Basically, see, markdown file is some sort of instructions, right? It has got some sort of assets, right? Let's say I'm working on a project, I'm interacting with Git, right? I'm interacting with email server, or I'm interacting with another internal database. 3 tools are there, right? In markdown file, I'm mentioning, see, instead of loading entire context about Git, entire context about the database, what I'll do reference links. Only when needed, go and hit that, take it, load into memory, then clean it. That is the purpose of markdown file, right? The chaining is slightly different. The chaining means each problem, right? Hey, to send an email, create a separate agent, right? Connect that agent with these email configurations, SMTP, maybe address, what is the mail server, etc. What is the mail body, etc. Its purpose is only when it invoked, send an email to somebody, right? The other one could be when an agent is invoked, right? My task is give the information, pull the information from database and give it to you. That could be sub-agent 2, right? And all these agent 1, 2, 3 are actually interlinked here. The output of one could be passed to as an input to prompt 2, and so on and so forth. Clear?
Yeah. So is chain of thought also an input to the LLM, like similar
Chain
to
of thought is a different prompting technique. Chain of thought is a different prompting technique. Sorry?
It's one of the techniques. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the techniques. See, different user prompts are there. No, we discussed. Zero shot prompting is one technique, right? One style. Few shot prompting is another technique or another style, right? Zero shot prompting is one technique or one style, right? Few shot prompting is another style. Likewise, chain of thought is also another prompting style. It is chain of thought and prompt chaining are two different things. They're not same. Clear?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So again, the prompt chaining we'll talk more when we discuss agents and LangChain and LangGraph, right? Output, right? Output also, right? Most of the times, right? No, see, it gives in some output, as we just discussed in our example, right? When we asked to generate a protein-rich diet plan, right? It simply gives in the form of text. If you want a tabular format, right? We can give. But this output format is very important. I'll tell you why. See, we normally use APIs, we code basically, right? See, we rarely write some prompts to get some output like this, right? If you have to use it as an API and consume the output of one prompt by another task, then you need programming language to read the output, right? And it is more often, right, whether it is Spark or maybe any other driver or whatever it is, right? You always prefer to consume the output either in CSV or in JSON format, right? Hence, how to structure the output for a prompt is also very, very important, right? So we can define the output either in the form of JSON or in form of simple text or in simple tabular format, using again with examples or without examples, right? Why is this important? API integration, agent workflows, database operations, right? Clear so far? Output is also very relevant, very important. I'd like to take a pause. Clear? Yes? No?
Yeah, hi team. Please correct me if my understanding is correct or not. So do you mean that in zero shot and few shot, no agents will be involved? For the remaining techniques like prompt chaining and chain of thought, the agents will get involved.
Not like that. Not like that. See, agent, let's say an agent is what, right? It is simple, some AI API calls. You are actually calling a set of API calls to the AI. Instead of entering our prompt here, right? Instead of typing here, we use some simple Python program to pass this command, right? This agent basically is a superset and it has got multiple prompts. It can be zero shot prompting, right? Few shot prompting, chain of thought, whatever it is. It can be any set of prompts, right? Using API, we are actually invoking the model. Instead of UI, we are calling some sort of LLM, right? Agent is not just about API calls, it is also about memory management. It's also about tool integration, right? And it is also about some intelligence built to make decisions. This is all put together as an agent. Did I answer your question, Prashant?
Yeah, got it. Thanks. Yeah.
There, basically, see, agent is a superset. A prompt is a subset, right? One agent can call multiple APIs. Each API can be treated as one prompt, right? One prompt could be zero shot, few shot, another could be few shot, other could be maybe a set of prompt chaining frameworks, maybe orchestration, and one could be chain of thought prompt, right? Moving on, I think we just...
Yeah, so yeah, the agents and other, what are the API integration? API, so agents and the API will get involved in all the techniques, all the prompts techniques. Am I right?
Exactly. It is not mandatory, but you can use a combination of zero shot, a few shot. You can only use simple zero shot prompts within API calls, etc. It all depends.
Okay, Dick, thanks.
Okay, so we have just 6 minutes. Maybe tomorrow we'll start from where we left today. Let's summarize what we discussed today, right? Last 5 minutes. We started with a quick recap of understanding what an FDE is all about. FDE sits at the intersection of 4 pillars, right? Data engineering pillar, software engineering pillar, AI engineering, and cloud and platform architecture. And that's the core technical outline, but it sits on a base of some sort of power skills: critical thinking, problem solving, communication, of course, creative thinking, and all those things, system thinking, and all those things will also come into the picture. But on a high level, these are the 3 things which we'll focus heavily on, right? And coming to the problem solving, we discussed about idea framework, which talks about breaking down the problem and then choosing multiple options. We spoke about a fishbone method, wherein a visual representation of the problem, right? And the fishbone problem is again transitioned into a priority matrix, basically wave planning, which will give some clear picture of how to plan for tasks, how to get the maximum benefit with minimal effort. We can also call it as low hanging fruit, we normally call, right? And these framework are relevant in solving problems, basically whether you are using AI or not using AI, right? For example, prompt chaining is one good example of breaking the task into multiple subtasks and on what basis we need to break it and how to prioritize given weight, how to give weightage for each of these agents, how to give more priority to what kind of agent. All this wave planning, the table we discussed, right? That is very, very relevant in designing agentic framework. That's the reason we are talking more on frameworks, mental models, etc. And our website covers decent enough frameworks, mental models, which we'll use in our labs, right? And then we slightly touch based on AI engineering is all about generative AI. Generative AI is all about generating some new content in the form of text, audio, video, images, code, etc. Unlike traditional machine learning algorithms where it classify or predict, generative AI generates new content based on the training data it has been trained on, right? And all these LLM models, right, or a subset of artificial intelligence algorithms. And a typical input for an LLM consists of prompt plus context, right? Again, two types of prompt: system prompt, user prompt. Based on system prompt, user prompt plus context, the output is determined, right? And then coming to the types of user prompt, right? We discussed on a high level, right? We briefly discussed what is zero-shot prompting, what is few-shot prompting, what is chain of thought, what is prompt chaining, what is role-based prompting, what is RAG-based prompting, right? These are the major categories, right? Out of which, on a high level, we discuss. We have discussed a little bit detail into zero-shot plus few-shot prompting. We have also seen some examples, protein-rich diet example. We have passed some context. We have seen the output without context versus with context, how it differs, right? And what is the relevance of the output, right? And what kind of scenarios you prefer zero-shot prompting, what kind of scenarios you should prefer for few-shot prompting, and the cost constraints, basically, right? Of course, we can add more and more ambiguous or redundant context, but that is of no use. End of the day, it will confuse the model, right? With this, we conclude today's session. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer. Any questions?
I think this is Rajkiran. I've mentioned my question in the chat. So basically, when we discuss about an LLM, when somebody says that it has 8 billion parameters or so many parameters, what does it exactly mean? What is
Yeah. As I said, right, we will touch base little on this when we talk about embeddings, right? But in short, it is the number of parameters based on which the model is trained on, right? People get confused with 8 billion parameters versus tokens. Token is different. This parameter is different, right? 8 billion parameters or whatever it is, right? And again, right, we'll again slightly little go deeper into how to get the token count, right? How to understand the complexity of the model. Let's say Opus is trained on what number of parameters, right? How is it different from Sonnet, right? And what is the difference between, see, these are all pre-trained models, right? It is pre-trained based on 8 billion parameters versus on top of 8 billion parameters, I fine-tune it further, right? What is fine-tuning? What is pre-training? We'll go a little deeper into it, but for now, right, understand or imagine that more and more number of data it is being trained on. Again, how it is trained, how it is stored internally, it all boils down to embeddings. Embeddings is a numerical representation of some data information which is provided to the model, right? Again, it's a very interesting topic. We will talk preferably next week on embeddings, basically what are embeddings, when we write a prompt, right? How it is converting to embeddings and why it has to convert to embeddings, what is semantic search, what is cosine similarity, all these are related. Just bear with me for another 1 or 2 classes. We'll go too deep into these.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, these recording sessions should be placed in one common place, or
yeah, just reach out to Deepika. She will share all the recordings. It will be available in one common place.
thank you.
So whatever courses are mentioned on the website, are all those accessible or to us, or we have to again re-register, or how does it work?
People who have already enrolled, right? I have granted access to the website, right? In the website, I'll take a moment to again share my screen. In the website, we have a bunch of courses here, right? So all those who enrolled.
What are the courses here relevant to us?
Sorry?
Are all these going to be included in the current FD track?
Not all of them. For example, interviews project delivery is not included. Internship project is not included. Snowflake is actually not included because we are giving Databricks plus Python and generative AI. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And at the same time, we also
What about Claude?
Claude, see, we will cover Claude, how to create skills, like, how to use Claude effectively. But Claude architecture itself is a very big course, right? This is too deep into Claude specialized course. We will cover in our course, but this access is not provided for now. But let me know, like, in case if any of you are interested. This is again a separate course, but let me think through on, like, if you are interested, maybe, like, partially we can evaluate some options, right? And also in addition to this, right, we also, yeah, this is very important, right? The frameworks and mental models we discussed, right? This will be provided, right? Some leadership strategies. I'll take a, like, snap at this one, right? For example, here, right? We talk about a lot of principles. What do you mean by customer obsession for each of the company? Start with customer, what it means, right? Example, right? What are some real world examples? How you need to, like, think from a customer point of view, backward thinking, all these things, right? We'll also give some sort of, like, examples, etc. And more importantly, this thinking styles is very important, right? Like, see, what is strategic thinking, right? It is very important in every world, right? See, if AI is writing a lot of code for us, right? Customers expect beyond coding, right? How you think, what do you mean by strategic thinking, right? What is critical thinking? What is systems thinking, right? What is expert thinking, right? What is creative thinking? What is analytical thinking, right? This is different. It is more on leadership, but of course, yeah, inquiry based thinking, right? What is divergent and convergent thinking? This is very important, right? We'll try to touch base this in solving a couple of examples. This is very important topic, right? Yeah, what is inversion thinking? A few of these things are relevant to FDE. We'll slightly touch base on. So in short, in addition to the technical courses that we have granted access, Spark, AWS, Databricks, Generative AI, Python, I have already granted access to frameworks and mental models. I'll give it a deep thought on, like, to what extent we can, like, leverage leadership strategies. We can talk about it, and I can grant access on this as well. This is more focused on basically leadership, but, like, see, from a leadership point of view, basically how to inculcate all these practices, like, etc. It is very, like, it's not relevant to us, but at least, like, it is good to have a skill, but hence I will think through, and then, like, we can grant access on this as well.
So the technical thing will start from Python.
Your voice is breaking. Yeah, Python also will be
part
granted.
will start from Python, or from which course it will start? From which
See, Python, see, we can all start, like, reading out the material, the content, what we have given. Yeah, Python, we will cover in, like, one session. We'll quickly wrap it up. Basically, we will see in generative AI, we have a lot of API based labs, for example, context engineering, lab exercises, right? So in this, if you see view solution, right? Here we are all, like, invoking all these Python based APIs, etc. Right? Hence, like, we'll very high level we'll touch base on, like, see, just for you to understand, we are not writing code. We are using AI to write the code, right? Hence, we don't need to remember the syntax, but the concept should be aware, right? Hence, we'll slightly touch base. What is Python? What is it, whether it is a compiler, transpiler? What are the data types? And, like, what is modular programming, like, what is the arguments and all those things on a high level. Maybe we'll try to cover in 1 or 2 classes. If all of you think, like, hey, I'm good at Python, we know we don't need, then just read out is enough. You guys let me know if you want me to cover to what extent, 1 class, 2 class, 3 classes, we will go accordingly.
So, hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello? Yeah, this is Ashish. So, as you talked about the course, I have no idea because today I have joined this session. Yesterday session I didn't join. So, I mean, is it FD course or which course basically? I don't have any
This
idea.
this is FD, forward deployment engineers.
FD.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yesterday I
yeah,
received a, yeah, tell me.
go ahead.
Yes,
It is
yesterday I
FD.
received,
Go ahead. Yesterday you
you
received?
say first. I received a mail, okay.
Huh, huh,
On that I have reverted also. Please give me more details.
hmm.
Just one statement was given that thank you for attending webinar uh, and
Okay. Yeah.
for buying, please call me. Okay. I
Ha,
dropped
ha.
the mail on the same, and
Hmm.
nobody reverted yet, and I don't have any idea what course, what it is, basically they are selling and all that stuff. So I do not know anything.
You just
So
drop me a note on this WhatsApp
right.
number. You just drop me a note on this WhatsApp number. I'll share more details.
Tim, like you said like in the code like the Python will be from the like overall like it's not be we won't be going to deep and we will be writing
Yes.
code from the AI. So actually like the FD role like the guy who works in FD also works in the same way. They don't write code. They just use
Hmm.
the AI tool to
Yeah.
write the code, right?
Exactly. That is exactly the reason why we are not going too deep into writing code in Python. If you just know the
Okay.
concept, it's well enough. See, it's more
Okay.
of mental models, it's more of frameworks, it's more of communication, it's more of how you dissect the problem. And more importantly, what is the AI knowledge you are bringing to integrate all these business problems and translate these business problems into technical solutions.
So basically, the FDI will be like all rounder, like knowing all the things from little bit, not going depth into any one of the technologies stack, right?
Not like that. Knowing conceptual knowledge, not about syntax. You can imagine FD as a modern architect, modern film director kind of thing, which he has got a fair understanding about different departments, right? Different
Mm-hmm.
technical stack, whatever it is. I use AI to extract the meaningful information out of the code base, right? I use AI to really design optimal system design, right? Be it front end or back end.
Okay. And like from the
So tell
technical
me,
point of view, from where we will start? From the generative AI or from Python?
Generative AI directly. Python
Okay.
will touch base when we actually see. Today we directly jumped into generative AI only, right? We did not
Okay.
start with
Yeah.
Python. We talked about
Mm-hmm.
prompt engineering, context, etc. Because see, Python is relevant when we are writing API based code. For example, this one, right? This also we are not writing. We are using prompts to write this, right? But it is very much essential for me to understand what this is all about, right? What is this? It's a variable. It is assigning some 300 tokens. How is it relevant, right? Again, as we discussed, right? How you can plan effective token usage and all these things, right? So if you are able to read through and understand, even if you don't understand, again use AI. Hey, convert this code into a readable format. You can use AI again to you explain basically what this code is all about. But it's a good practice to know at least the data structures.
So what are the LLM models widely used in industry? We should be knowing.
Industry, it all depends. See, I wouldn't say one, right? A combination of maybe GPT, Codex, Sonnet, Haiku, Opus. See, depending on the use case, as I just said, don't use Opus. Opus is very smart model, right? And if you keep using Opus for every small task, your cost will go up, right? That's where the AI architect is supposed to help customers, right? What kind of model is suited for what kind of use cases, right? And we will also talk about very interesting and important concept called as using LLM as a judge, right? Let's say if a code is generated by Opus, right? Use Sonnet as a reviewer to review Opus code like that, right? It's not there's no one standard model. I would say it all depends case by case.
Yeah, there is a saying, right? Use LLM to decide which LLM or model to use.
No, yeah, maybe that's a smart move, but at least we should have some understanding about what is
Right.
Opus, what
Yeah.
kind of scenarios we can rely on. Right?
But
And like
how do we know which model to use and all to start with?
To start with, see, Haiku for simple, small summarization task kind of thing. Sonnet for maybe writing a medium complex code or maybe medium complex agents, etc. Opus for really, really smart agents like autonomous agents or maybe really, really complex code if you want to write, right? And even Codex, I am yet to try, but I heard Codex is also doing great job, right?
Tim, like two questions. Like one, like where do we get where we will get the recordings of the sessions, and second is like for the lab exercises and projects, do you have to do anything, or like if that iGrace website is sufficient, the portal is sufficient?
Question number one, just reach out to Deepika. Question number two, for lab exercises, we'll configure basically Google Colab notebooks. We will
Okay.
create API keys, basically how to create keys and all those things we can talk, right? If you have to invoke LLMs through APIs, we need some license keys that is chargeable. I believe all of you have some sort of credit card with you. Maybe I'll drop a note, maybe in the the day before we start the programming concepts. Maybe I'll request or maybe send a reminder to all of you to bring credit card to the class, just to quickly recharge the API tokens using some $5, etc. And all the labs, as I said, right, we use a combination of Google Colab, even this one, Cursor, Anti-Gravity, and Visual Studio. A combination of these things we'll use.
Yeah, Tim, one question. Towards the end of the course, I also see that there is a mini project. So could you give any example of what kind of project that we will be able to build at the end of the course?
We will build spend analytics, which includes designing a data model, includes designing a web page. It also includes designing effective prompts and how you create modules, etc. So it's a spend analytics platform. We did slightly touch base in our previous call. I showcased what the UI is looking like what's intelligence that the website can bring on, etc. Maybe if you want, take a look at the website. In the website itself, I think I haven't added the project yet. But yeah, I'll share more details. Just ping me. I'll also add to the current website.
Sure, thank you. I mean, one question back onto the Claude code, right? Anthropic Claude. Is there another course which covers Anthropic Claude in detail, or this is the only one? Is FD the only one?
For now, see, we are. This in this course we slightly touch base Claude. But there is a dedicated Claude Architect course. That is the one what it is there in the website is related to Claude Architect, right? That's a detailed course itself altogether, right? It's a different one. Right now, there's no active batch we have for Claude.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Do we have any GTM course to know? As of now, no.
So hi Tim, I have a question. So I got to know that we will have access to this course for the next 1 year, right? So if we get any upgrade in terms of the course material, so we're going to get this one or the content remains same for the next 1 year.
No. The content is constantly changing. Even yesterday, I was making some changes, right? Throughout 12 months, whatever new amendments that we will incorporate for subsequent batches, it will be shared with you as well. The content will remain it will remain same for all the batches basically. If something gets new content gets added, it is automatically available to all of you, not just the technical one. Even the frameworks, mental models, we have just so far we have built only 30% of the content, I would say, right? The remaining content, as and when I keep adding, you all have access.
Okay, thank you.
Hi Tim, this is Amresh. Very quick question. The explanation was great, but I had a quick question. This seems to be more AI heavy and very relatively light on like system design, architecture reviews, like executive communication and consulting frameworks, which is part of FD, right?
See, as I said, right? See, the consulting thing, the communication frameworks and all, we do touch base, right? The system design, what you said, right? The system design we do cover, right? In the capstone project.
Reviews.
See, CropSys model, we discussed in our previous call, right? How to design really scalable, reliable systems, especially using AWS as one of our examples. We do touch base basically. We are also thinking to come up with some framework basically called as well architected scoring framework, right? So design, yes, we will talk about the 5 pillars, crops framework as we discussed. The system design in terms of micro architecture, the caching strategies, edge locations, all those things will not go too deep in detail, right? This is AI heavy, you are right. But we also slightly touch base on the system design, heavily more on cloud.
Got it. And if I want the material for Claude, Snowflake, the project and interviews, I'm ready to pay or understand more about those courses as well. And who would be
Yeah.
the right point of contact for that?
You drop me a note for the ones at least who are in this batch, or maybe for the ones who are actually purchased any other course. We'll charge very nominal for that to offer Snowflake or maybe Claude or even leadership strategies, even capstone projects, anything which you think something is interesting. Drop me a note with negligible money. We can accommodate.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
Tim, question for the Databricks, what are being covered and
Very good point.
can we
See,
get more
Databricks.
details?
Yeah, Databricks again, will not go too deep into it because we focus on generic AIs. But Genie code is something I'm planning to cover, right? Because with recent changes and all, it is very, very interesting thing. But on a high level, right, what are the key features of Databricks? What is Unity Catalog? What are the workflows? What is liquid clustering? How Databricks has become data and AI integrated together. On a high level, we cover, but the readout material is very good. It help you gain good context about the basics. But again, the Databricks is again under refined mode, meaning we'll add all these agentic things which are yet to be added. Maybe in 1 or 2 weeks, you will see more updated content with regards to Genie code, with regards to ML ops, right? All those things in the content it will be there, but we'll not go too deep into each and every concept what we called out in Databricks.
We can get access to that, right?
Yeah. Readout access will be given. Yes, for sure.
Okay.
In this
Yeah,
class,
thanks.
live class, we'll touch base what is needed.
Okay. Thanks.
Good.
So
Any more
inside your
questions?
course, inside your that iGrace portal, right? Inside the Anthropic Cloud or Snowflake, does it contain only the documents or the videos where you have
No
not
videos.
like
No.
only
We are
the
planning
documents?
to add audio, but no videos as such. Videos also in pipeline, but I cannot commit any timelines on uploading videos.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Very insightful, very engaging. Thank you so much for all your questions. Take care. Good day. See you again in next class. Good day, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's up? అందరూ పోయేదాన్ని అమ్మాయి ఎక్కువ నేర్పిస్తున్నాడు.